Welcome back to the Divine Tribe Love Hive weekly discussion, where we dive deep on everything from politics to candy, but end up in the realm of love. All right, so Lauren, you started us off. You were asking.
Yeah, so we didn't know what we were going to talk about, but isn't like, speaking of politics, isn't like, I don't know, the whole England thing kind of a big deal right now? Should we touch on that, or do we want to skip over the Queen's death?
It's up to you. It's not a huge topic for me, but I'm happy to indulge. What are your feelings on it?
Well, I don't know. I don't need to talk about all that, but what I do want to talk about, so one of the trainings I took a long time ago was by Marisa Russo in Forensic Healing. She's based out of Australia. And she put together a diagram of the matrix, which, it's a good visual. There's some things I would change if I were to like make my own, but why don't we just talk about what Marisa put together, because that's kind of cool. And it kind of has to do with politics, but also with freedom. Can you guys see that pretty well?
Not too well, but if you want to send it to me, I can put it up on the
skills. Okay, yeah.
And you can describe just basically what you're seeing.
Well, so there's all the buildings, right? And and so the buildings kind of represent like the physical world. And so there's big pharma, there's the education system, there's the medical system, there's the financial system, religion, political system. What's that one back there? The judicial system, right? Which to me, working with families and seeing people that are going through like divorce and then there's no justice for these children, and the judicial system a lot of times like will side with the narcissist because the narcissist is charming and the kind of other parent is codependent, so disempowered, but not as, but anyway. And then up on top, there's unconditional love, and that's kind of like, breaking through to the spiritual realm. And so she's calling it going from 3D to 5D.
Cool.
Yeah, so unconditional love, integrity, trust, the abundance is there, living in oneness, freedom, non-judgment, and peace. And I just thought, because, if I kind of talk about it with people that haven't really kind of thought about what we're living in and what's happening on planet Earth, they kind of are like, what? And there's, like the haters that are just like so shocked that the world might have people that are not coming from their heart in it, right? I think that that's like a good, like, no, you guys, like the Matrix is real. Here's a good visual of it. Let me see if I can email it to you, Patricia, if you want to get it up for people to watch later. But I don't know, do you guys have anything come up when I kind of...
Well, I'm just thinking about, like, you had started you're just asking us how the week and the weekend was, because many people are having a gnarly time. The weekend was really hard for me. I'm healing from this car accident. Well, I've been getting a ton of help from an upper cervical chiropractor in town who's just an amazing person, and I'm probably going to work at her clinic, which is way cool. But she's a really good healer, like present. I've just been really learning that I don't think it matters what your modality is. I think it matters how you show up in your modality, like with presence, with your skills important too. But also like just being good, you know what I mean? And so the interesting thing is I've been getting better. And then there was a couple things going on. I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth. I wanted massage. And so the old chiro I saw would always give me a massage. So I went back because I was like, well, fuck, I need a massage. So I went back and the massage was great. But then I went to get adjusted after the massage thinking it wouldn't hurt me. And I got harmed from it in the sense that I've been in ridiculous pain and I can't sleep. I haven't slept in 3 days. I can't sleep. And I know it's because he knocked out some stuff, but also his energy and like, it's my fault. It's like an awesome, okay. So the reason I'm bringing this up is like 3D, 5D. I've been processing it all weekend, is like forgiveness of the dude, forgiveness of myself for going back and like trying to get my needs met, and knowing that I didn't like the guy's energy nor his work from the get, but I was like, it'll be fine. It's like one of those things, you know?
Yeah,
It's
our
like,
parents set us up for that.
right.
I'll try to get my needs met when people can't meet them, right? That's right.
Exactly. But anyway, so it was interesting because I had a gnarly weekend. I mean, it's like pain is one thing to deal with, but like not sleeping is like super not good for me. So I finally put it together last night that because I was trying to figure out what it was, and I was like, oh, it's that adjustment. It like knocked something out, and my brain can't settle. It's like totally thrown me off.
It's so interesting, the brain spinal connection. Yes, that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's actually part of the transition from the 3D to 5D. I don't know, like I have, and many clients that I have, and me personally, and for me, it was spread out over like a 5-year period where I had this at the base of the skull, really, this, like, I don't know, there was like, actually for 2 of those years, I couldn't even turn my head. And I saw every kind of practitioner and all this stuff. And then I got vertigo, I was throwing up, so many problems, and it was all centered right there. And for me, it was really about this unraveling of the mother wound. For me, it was just like this thing that had to break through. And I'd done so many layers, and this is what this is what is up for me right now. And I love the visual that you put up there, Lauren, because I think that rather than thinking of, you know, the people who aren't coming from their heart as the evil ones, you could see from that visual so clearly, they're just stuck in the material world of the 3D. And rather than, you know, like a dark force, the 5D is uplifting the, I don't know, the denser energies that are down there. That's helpful for me to always look at it, because this is just how I look at things rather than good and evil. It's like awake or asleep. That's it. Or like love or fear.
And so, holding on to the old reality, right? When they're like, no,
totally.
That's crazy, right? Like, yeah, let it go. That doesn't exist anymore.
But if they're not ready to let go, that's okay. They will
Right.
be later, because then ain't nobody getting left off this love train. That's the way I look at it, really. Everybody's going to eventually choose love. And so now or later, that's yours to choose, but, or maybe not even yours to choose. I don't know, but everyone's getting on that train. I do believe.
I think so too, because even if they don't make it, if they wind up in the reincarnation trap, they're going to be born into a different earth, and so normal is going to be different from day one. And so they're going to reach liberation at some point in the round. Right. But even we're healing our ancestors. So we've been liberating, because, you know, space and time might not exist. Now, the thing at the axis on the back of our neck, that is definitely a spiritual thing. When I was taking Kung Fu, one of the forms they do is to actually activate that. And so they say, like, the only way to get through it, because it creates headaches and stuff, is to keep doing more forms. Now, mine, I think, had already just been activated from other spiritual work that I was doing and healings. In the forensic healing, who made the diagram, she's kind of the one that taught me about the alien implants that are even back there, which I know that might be out there for too much. But Yogananda also talks about that's actually where our life force energy goes in from. So if we're going to have like a miraculous healing, it goes in through the back of the neck there too. So it shows up in lots of cultures, and definitely a primary part for sure.
Yeah, the acupuncture point, which you're making me think about, is right at the bit where you're describing, Patricia, is called brain door.
Brain door?
Brain door. That's the name of that point, right at the base of the skull there.
Well, you know what happened during that whole process is my brain did have to exit that door, actually, as my heart came in to fill up my, you know, primary driver in my life. That transition from the brain into the heart for so many of us brainiac people is so brutal. But the thing that I want to encourage people about remembering is that these things take time. And I saw a lot of practitioners during that time who were wanting to fix it. And the thing is, it wasn't wanting to be fixed. It was wanting to go through its process. It was wanting to really be on its own time sort of schedule as it was healing. And once it left me completely, and I haven't had it ever again, but it did take a while. And I honor that. You know, we live in a culture where people are always, I don't know, like wanting to manifest everything away. But sometimes I think the lesson is that things are there with their own wisdom.
Mhm.
We don't even know sometimes what that is.
Totally.
Exactly.
Totally.
That's totally what spiritual healing is about.
Yeah.
So part of the other thing that happened for me this weekend when I was having my weirdo insomniac stuff was I was also like time tripping. I was like going through like every single period of my life. And it was like, I was working on a project Friday night and Saturday night too. And I was like sitting there and literally just getting flashes of all of these parts of my life that I've already lived in all of these places. And I was like, wow, I'm like totally like time traveling right now. And it was awesome because they were all so cool, but I was also having a little bit of sadness because I kind of miss, like that's, I just noticed like about myself as a human is that I have a little bit of trouble committing to things because I love the experience of being human in so many different ways. And so as I was like time tripping through all these things, I was like, wow, there's been so many cool things that have happened in my life that I miss. Like I miss living in New York. I miss living in California. I miss living in Oregon. I miss these people, that people. I miss when I was a DJ. I miss like all these cool things that I've done in life that were awesome. But like, has like, we're all like getting older, middle age, whatever we are, wiser.
It's not in my belief system.
What's that?
But that's not in my belief system.
Well, I'm getting beautifully older every day. But like, when you're younger, like I've had so many great experiences, but you don't always savor them. Like I feel, we're talking about age, I feel more present than I've ever been. So now it's like everything I experience, I'm right there with it. But in my 20s, I wasn't always right there with it. You know what I mean?
Well, in Florida, if you ever leave Florida someday, you know that Florida is going to also be on the list of things that you miss. So you
Totally.
have to really, it invites such a deep presence with where you are. That's cool because you connect with every place that you live. I've observed this watching you. You have,
It's so cool. Like everything's so cool. Florida's rad. San Diego's rad.
I just want to see you be a DJ.
Huh?
I just want to see you be a DJ.
Oh my God, you should have seen me.
spiritual DJ. There's somebody out there doing
like
that.
We need to have a party.
Bunch.
We could have a party, an online party.
Yeah. Well,
I'll come to that.
We'll eventually, we should have an online party actually. We can invite
A dance party. Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Dancing is such a powerful practice. I actually went out to the Church of Music last night. Do you remember that?
Oh, right. Yeah.
They had, and actually one of the women that kind of like grabbed the microphone, I met her down in Tulum and never saw her perform. And she happened to be in San Diego. And so I got to finally kind of see her perform. And she has this esoteric, beautiful voice. But dancing is such a good way to cleanse the energy field and open up the lymph. And I was like healing while I was seeing things because it was like just raising my vibration. I helped Emily find her cat that was missing because I was like just, and I was like, oh yeah, like healers used to do their healing while dancing traditionally, right? And like, wouldn't it be cool to bring that back?
Exactly. Where was the Church of Music? Church of Music is a Sunday afternoon, evening, weekly gathering that started or was survived during COVID. Like they went outside, they would rotate between like 3 or 4 different locations outside, bring speakers, bring people. People could mask up or not, but people just did whatever they did. And every Sunday there was like a sliding scale dance party.
Yeah, so it was
fun. Yeah.
She created it as a church to kind of get around the laws and like have freedom to express themselves. Yeah,
Lena.
Yeah. So it was down in Chula Vista, like on the water, and there were spinners and bubbles and people dancing and doggies and so I think it also was like, because I went a couple times, but yesterday maybe I was just more into the music or just needed to dance more or whatever. I was like, okay, I'm going to bring my daughter back and we're going to like dance and get into this more.
Yeah, I actually want to ask you because honestly, you look really good. You're lots of beautiful color going on here. You look really clear. So yeah, what's been going on?
Should we just talk about the makeup that I use? This is gonna become
Makeup, because you look great. It's working.
it's so much of it is the lighting. I'm just in natural sunlight. I mean, once you start doing the videos, you'd notice how lighting is like the biggest difference in how you look.
Patricia, do you agree? You look vibrant. I think you look really clear and vibrant.
Yes, you look beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think it's the thing. I think it's you. So what have you been doing? Tell us.
I don't know, just working less, maybe. We're kind of going through this like healing, which is definitely a process, and a longer process, because I love the instant healings. We move a lot of energy and you're like, oh, that's such a relief, right? But then other times you need that process and to let it go. And so I've probably been spending less time doing stuff as I'm kind of with Riley and her process. So probably just what being relaxed looks like.
I like it on you. PK, what have you been doing? You look really nice too.
Oh, thank you.
Very
Oh,
vibrant.
no, I've been in a little bit of a rough patch, or rougher than than I prefer, but it's just some old layers of old stuff coming up. I have this habit of doing things alone, being alone and doing things alone, and it's just so old. It's like, from babyhood, when I was just had to do everything to survive, just really come inside and be lock off that part of myself to the outside world. That part then, over many, many years of healing, came to the surface, and she could then engage with others. But I still go through rounds of that kind of hiding in a way. I don't know. So I've been working with that. It's interesting because it reveals itself to me as the next layers are ready to heal. And so I had a little spiritual birthday party yesterday for my inner child, my inner 3-year-old, who just wanted pin the tail on the donkey. I was like, all right, that represented for me like the 3D material world. It's like, yeah, girl, guess what? You have to interact, even though 3-year-old me just wanted to be with God, seriously. But sometimes you're at a party and you know what? They got pin the tail on the freaking donkey, and that's what you do. And that is like the symbol of me really being willing to interact more and more with the material world, because I'm not that interested in the material world. I'm very interested in being with God and being in that oneness and being, and even with other humans. That's actually the thing that's opening up for me is you play pin the tail on the donkey with others. You don't play it by yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's what
because that kind of goes into like the possibility of spiritual bypassing, which sometimes people do by kind of hanging out with God maybe too much, right? And I think traditions even recommend it, but like, no, we're here in a physical reality, and like we want to bring heaven on earth, right? We need to like go there, bask in the energy, embody it, and bring it onto the planet, because that's part of dancing into a liberated planet kind of a thing.
Yeah, I go back to that Abraham Hicks quote, life is supposed to be fun. And I like that quote because, I don't think it's only supposed to be fun. Like everything's good. I've been actually, like, this weekend, I was thinking about how my struggle is good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So many things are good, but when it comes down to it, if you're not having fun, then what's the point? For real. And that's when, going back to what both of you were saying earlier, is like that 3D reality, people get so mucked in it. It's because they forget that the whole thing's supposed to be fun. Like I think I said, actually, Patricia, yesterday when I was talking to her, I was like, don't forget that none of us get out of this alive. There's no winning this shit. We all die. That's it. So for me, I'm like, how can I have more fun? But again, not the like disembodied fun that would, like, not when I was 20 and I either wanted substances or relationships or things that would take me out of the uncomfortability and the fear of being human, but the embodied, like, can I fear it and feel it and still have a blast and, still cry and all the things. And it's just like so great. And that's the whole thing.
Funny is we're so fun though, even if not totally present for them.
Say it again.
I said my 20s were so fun though, even if I wasn't totally present for them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a lot more struggle during that time. So I was a little less connected with my whole real self.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm having more fun now, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Way more fun now. Because some of us are sensitive to the I'll use my metaphor, pin the tail on the donkey, like the people who are having fun with the games of planet Earth are often doing so from that place of the ego. And some of us, I'm realizing more and more how much of an empath I am in this way. I've always known that. I mean, my practice is called empowered sensitivity. Of course, I recognize I have a deeply sensitive nature. I think I'm in the highest percentage of sensitivity and whatever kind of ways they could study it, I'm it. But the thing about feeling other people's starry-eyed sort of what's the word I'm thinking of? Like I don't know, people are very impressed with the ego. And so, but what I feel when I feel other people in their ego, sometimes what I feel is the falseness of it. And other people are here and they're like, this is the great playground. We get to go play and pin the tail on the donkey, this, that, the other thing. It's so fun. And they're like, it's great, it's great, it's great. And then I'm feeling what's really true for them is that deeper pain that is way suppressed. And so it's not that in my 20s was not that much fun. Feeling
Mhm.
everybody else like, whoa, it's great. And I'm feeling their pain because they're not able or ready or whatever to look at it. So it is, and it's all works together for the highest good always, because there's a divine timing to everybody finally letting all that stuff bubble up, right? But for those of us who have those kinds of sensitivities, it is hard. So I have so much compassion for people who are really sensitive and feeling everything, that others may not know is there
Totally.
inside themselves even, right?
Totally.
well, one thing I think about when you say all that, and I was thinking about this earlier, Lauren, when you posted that beautiful picture, is boundaries, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the hardest part of the healer, is like getting your appropriate boundaries. Like Patricia, when you were saying all that, you were like, you had no boundaries. It sounds like you were feeling everything. And how do you sort out like feeling people's stuff and not? And what I was thinking, Lauren, when you posted that picture is like, we do actually get to choose, right? So when I think of this when I'm driving, because I've been driving more. And when I'm driving and like fucking on a Friday when there's some shit going on in the universe, forget it, dude. It's gnarly out there. But also that's when I can't choose, right? But there's so many places that I can choose. And I'm like, COVID has made us, I think, more aware and smarter that like my reality is more like this. Like, who do I hang out with? I hang out with the vibers, the people who are doing their work, who are able to show up for me in some way, and I'm doing my work and I can show up and they can handle it. You know what I mean? Like there's this like thread why we're all together right now, our little hive, Thrive Hive, I'm calling it, because it's like we all want to do our work. We all want to thrive, right? Like, I don't know, what do you think about that?
I've been thinking about this a lot with the boundaries, but I think that there is every single thing that is this is what I can tell you from a sensitive person's point of view. Every single thing, every kind of sensitivity that people have is there to be, I don't know, liberated into its truest height. Like, so if somebody has a sensitivity around whatever, certain noises, it doesn't mean that they're supposed to avoid all noisy places for the rest of their life. It means, from my perspective, they're supposed to get to the root of why do they like, there's these earlier experiences that we have that have locked those things into place. So we're supposed to get there and then blow it out and just really then be in the freedom, I think, of a true, like open person who doesn't have those limitations that, a lot of sensitive people will say things like, oh, avoid them all or this or that or whatever. But really, I think we're here to transcend all that. So yeah, I think that the feeling other people's stuff is in that category.
Yeah.
I'm
I've had
working on it.
people
I'm working on that one still.
Yeah, I've had people recently like trying to sell me stuff for my business.
Mm.
And it's so interesting because I don't get lied to that often these days. But
Mhm.
as they're sitting there talking to me, I can like hear the truth, like literally like
Yeah.
hear it psychically, hear the truth as they're feeding me these lies. And I'm like, you guys like know I'm an intuitive healer for a living, don't you? Like, how can you be lying to me about that stuff? Do you really? So it's so interesting, so many levels of it, right? But yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I recently was thinking just about that because that's why I'm 48 years old and really just coming into my power and presence in the material world as a healer because everyone was lying. I mean, humans don't even know they're lying to themselves. Like not everybody, but many people are lying to themselves. And then everything we have on television in our society is a big fucking lie. And my parents were lying to me. So my poor little brain got confused.
Yeah.
It was like there's those things that like you couldn't, and I'm healing from it, but I still notice it. It's
Yeah. It's so interesting, just similar to what you're saying. I read a quote the other day and it said, every belief is a limiting belief.
Yep.
Right now,
Yep.
some of them might be convenient to use
I
sometimes.
like that a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But even like if we were to go, no one gets out alive. Well, Babaji did, right? He's like been alive for thousands of years in the
Who?
Himalayas. Mahavatar Babaji, he's in the self-realization. He might be Lord Shiva incarnated. But there's spiritual, the Mayans apparently disappeared, right? And some people think that they evolved off planet, right? And that they actually didn't die. And same thing with a tribe that's near Sedona, Arizona, at the Montezuma's castle. They disappeared and people think that they might have ascended out. And so at some point, we might just have that option too, that we don't need to leave a physical body, but that we can just ascend to a different experience somewhere else.
Totally down with that and have been thinking about that a lot, actually. Yeah, that's that whole like vibe with time travel that's been up, right? Is like, I think that's what I'm saying. I mean, so I'm like, quote unquote, possibly, we don't know, halfway through my life. And I'm happier now with
not be halfway. You might only be like 10%. We don't know.
Well, I mean, but we can get into that, but that's choice. Like, how old am I going to want to live? And that's actually the point I'm making is like, at some point, it's if your consciousness is so bright and pure and ageless, do you want to be in a 90 to 120-year-old body? Like, probably not.
Right. You can probably reverse age it.
Yeah. Or just come back in another body. Like, that's the thing is like, I'm having fun with this body, but I'm not so attached to it. I think there will be a point when I want to leave it.
I'm into this one being kind of like I want to get her done. I don't want to come back in another body, but I really want to be in this one. But here I am. And so I love the idea of like questioning the beliefs and this is what I do. It's like, yeah, what we believe is so clearly limiting. To me, I could see that. I could see the limiting beliefs are not where we're meant to stay.
No, and that's where everyone's hanging out right now.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
I told you too about, I had that thing where I was like, why do we have to have work, a job to have money? That's a belief that our culture has. Everybody has to have the job. For me, it was I had to have the job to have the insurance so that I could stay healthy. And at a certain point, I was like, do I really want to believe that? I don't even believe in Western medicine. I was like, why am I locked into this job that is not really lighting me up so that I could have this insurance that is definitely not really aligned with what I believe in case something bad happens, where it's I don't even want to align with that belief, right? The whole thing, it's like the whole.
Well, it's so funny because, and that's what the definition of cognitive dissonance is, right? When we have two beliefs that we're holding at the same time. Lots of people like just avoid it because it creates anxiety. But when you do what you did instead of avoiding it and are like, wait a second, I have the job for the insurance. And then you're like, I hate this job, right? But I like my insurance. But wait a second. No, I don't. Right? That's like resolving that cognitive dissonance and freeing oneself.
You bring up a good point, though, because when people are not willing to look at it and they're willing to just live with these conflicting beliefs, it's a form of dissociation, and
Yeah.
that's what I see most people, that's the
Yes.
zombie thing. It's like most people are just completely dissociated from their truth. They're dissociated from their feelings, from their needs, from their beliefs even. I asked a friend one time, I was curious. I said, well, I was trying to get into like, what did she believe about this certain topic? I don't even remember what the topic was. And she said, I don't know. I don't like to think about that. And I'm like, why would you not like to think
Right.
what you believe? I mean, I want to know what I believe because I know I can change my mind. I can change my mind if I don't like it.
Right. And so I think probably a fair caveat for, I'm going to say for all of us, but you can opt out if you want, is when we talk, it's based on our current belief system, which we know is made up of possibly limiting beliefs, and we might throw them out the window too, right? So it's just a time snap here and now, and totally open to blowing it up and up leveling to a better belief.
Yep.
Or non-belief, as the case may be, right? And that's why I like looking at it like even this belief is a theory, right? So if this theory can help me heal something or advance my
Yes.
finances or whatever, let me ride the train of this theory while it serves me.
Yeah.
But if I'm over on this problem, that theory probably might not serve me anymore. So I need to come up with a better theory, right? And that's where being the seeker comes in, right? That spiritual seeker.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I just think is so much fun, I mean, like, to answer what you're talking about, Patricia, is like, I get it. Like the people around us can be difficult, and that cognitive dissonance that has been shoved down our throats of what reality is. And I'm like, I'm really in touch with, I remember in my 20s when I was exploring alternative ways of being, which, I grew up in a very working class, terrible food, lots of drama, all the deal, and love, and like all good things too, like family, all kinds of good and difficult stuff, right? Well, in your 20s, you break out of that. So in my 20s, I was exploring yoga and meditation and like things of good food, eating like real food, which everything, I didn't eat fresh vegetables as a kid, so it's like just exploring all these different things and different ways of being. And I got really into Timothy Leary for a while because I read some of his books, and it was like, he's known as like an acid guy, but he started, there was this project that came in with mushrooms and then later acid through Harvard, actually. It came from Mexico, but he was already studying consciousness. So before he even got into that stuff, he got into meditation, so it's like, he was exploring consciousness, and he brought mushrooms into prisons. He got funded before everybody started like hating on him and calling him a druggie. He actually got funding from Harvard to go into prisons and give prisoners psilocybin, and he helped them have a spiritual experience to like break out of this shell, right? And I'm not like a super advocate of some of the psychedelic therapies that are going on right now, because I think they're like what we were talking about earlier, is like there's a lot of people escaping through it. I see it around me, but I think they also
is a part of the spiritual bypassing. A lot of people are having these experiences and don't know how to integrate it because it's a forced. Totally, I agree.
Yeah, and I mean,
time and a place.
Say it again.
But yet, there's a time and a place.
Totally.
Like people haven't had any experience,
right?
And they're like, "Oh, whoa!" Like those visionaries are telling the truth, and there is a whole world
right.
a lot of people don't even know exists happening underneath what I see,
Right. Totally. Because I think people have blinders on of their reality that they've been taught, and then that can help break out of that reality, But like, I think I was telling somebody recently is like, I did psychedelics during that time, a bunch of them actually, and I think they were ridiculously helpful, don't get me wrong. And it didn't heal me. I'm 48 years old, and I didn't really even start doing deeper healing until much later, but it did open me up to the possibility of something that I didn't know could exist, right?
I think they helped me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Dissociated, because I've same, right, middle class family, maybe even lower middle class because they were divorced, right? And so funding two households and a lot of pain in the ancestry. And I think, getting the insights to build compassion instead of staying an angry teenager who's, because everybody was in so much pain that like my needs weren't really being met. And so to be able to have compassion that like, oh, they're like really not capable because of all the karmic burden on them. Right. I mean, it really like created movement for me where who knows how my life would have turned out if I wasn't a rebellious teenager taking hallucinations. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure. Yeah. Helps you see, they can help you see out of your current reality, right?
Out of your ego, right?
Yeah, out of your ego, yeah. But I mean, I also, so I'd say currently in this clairvoyant program, and that has been a game changer for me because psychedelics were wonderful and opened me up. But when I learned to get in there and meditate and then connect with, trance and, energy and form and, psychic things, like, to me, that's my goal. I think it's the best thing ever. I want to keep studying it forever, like deeper layers of that, because you're doing the same thing, except I think there is a bit of a disconnection with a psychedelic. My personal experience is that because something is switched, right? And it's not bad. I mean, I like them sometimes, but I get more satisfaction. It's like doing yoga versus having someone stretch you, right? Like I get more satisfaction out of doing the clairvoyant work guided.
Well, it's really moving more and more toward not having things on a conditional basis. It's like, if you need the drug, if you need the mushroom to have like a trip, then that is, you're just in that condition. And that's a limit also, because you do not need the mushrooms to trip. I mean, that's what
not anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And so the Hawaiians, and I think talk about how there's like 3 different types of shamans. And so one is the one that just uses the consciousness, which seems like it's our bias, right? Like I want, if I have nothing around, to know that it actually all exists inside of me. And if I want to find the part of me that can hallucinate on mushrooms, I just pop into it and now I'm hallucinating, right? But there is the kind that works with the plant medicine, and that and traditional Chinese medicine goes into this a little bit with all of the herbs that they use, right? How every herb is a vibration. And so they're gathering from all the places. And then the third one for the Hawaiians was the canoe maker, was the shaman. I don't understand that. I haven't integrated that part yet to explain that part, but the consciousness versus the plants, there's like 2 different schools of thought, and people are really on it. Now, I think that the plant medicine, even if it's a Bach flower remedy and not a hallucinogenic plant medicine, right, or mint to soothe the tummy ache, sometimes I don't have the time and the energy to want to go meditate. And so it's so convenient to take the energy of the plant in and move forward, right? Because we do have children to raise and mortgages to pay and, and everything else going on.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine, I mean, I've been doing work with homeopathy in the last 2 years, and it's funny because it's always focused on my liver, right? And I'm like, what's going on? And very recently, I'm like, I totally get it from like a 5-element perspective. Liver's wood, and wood is like, it's growth. It's like basically like the tree shoots up to the sky, and your liver is the architect that's planning your life. So why I've been having to work on my liver is because I've been stuck in that phase. I'm not moving into the maturation. So fire comes after wood, and fire's maturation. Fire is where you take that seed of yourself and express it fully. And I haven't, quote unquote, been able to manifest that because I've been stuck in this fucking wood of like growth. And that's what happened as a kid, is I got on this growth path, of like reaching for the thing. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's why I'm having to work on my liver constantly, is because I haven't moved into the maturation, which I think I am right now, right? Is like, I'm finally, after this 2-year journey, finally I'm establishing, I'm going to have an office for the first time in a long time, going to teach a class, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm in a community where I can relax enough to manifest my creativity.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I've heard from the Taoist perspective, the liver also holds the doorway to our past lives.
Oh, the hoon. It's really the gallbladder, I think, or the liver. Yeah, both of them, the wood, the hoon.
Yeah, so I always thought I just was ancient. So there was just a lot of past lives to resolve or something, right? But that's interesting to look at it from that perspective too, because we're a seeker, right? And we're always wanting more knowledge and to better ourselves. How do we ever reach maturity, right? Not until we're God realized, I would say.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, it's more about like being stuck in that phase. I just noticed that I've been stuck in.
I think, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, if you think of that that wheel in Chinese medicine, I just got a picture of you, Les, like spinning that wheel, like wheel of fortune, right? It's like, you got to go to the next part on the thing. Cause otherwise you're never supposed to be just one thing like that.
No, never.
It's not, that's not how the design, right? Of
Yeah.
us.
Yep. Yeah, well, it's funny, Lauren, that you said that, because the hoon absolutely helps people get in touch with their consciousness, and the hoon leaves the body at night because the hoon never dies or sleeps or anything like that. So it's interesting that I haven't been able to sleep because I'm in this phase, right? So it's like my hoon would be a great fucking point to get needled right now because it's so unsettled.
Interesting. So I've taken a similar clairvoyant program to what you're in. And so we clear the astral body, right? Because they say that it's so the astral body and the hoon are the same thing then. So you could maybe just clean it in meditation and then see.
No, I know. I've been trying, but it's like you say, I have been trying. I think I do need to get that. I was on a good path getting my atlas put back into place. And then I went and got my whole back cracked out, and I think it pulled this one out of place.
It's so interesting. Whatever. I was doing yoga the other day and hadn't in a while, and I've been carrying my 50-pound dog while she goes through this healing. And so it's been a lot, right? Because I'm carrying her to go to the bathroom. I'm helping her stand when she's going to the bathroom, like the whole thing. And so I was doing yoga and I was like, wow, yoga hurt me more. Right? Which you would never, but just because whatever my body was doing in order to carry, it was very happy in that dysfunctional place. And then I had to go to the chiropractor I don't know. So I'm actually not going to stretch or do anything until we get through this 100%, because I'm going to just stay in my dysfunctional pattern until it's time, until my body, whatever the circumstances can support me letting go of the dysfunctional pattern.
Oh, absolutely.
It's actually not dysfunctional right now because it's functioning for me.
It's very functional, right?
And it has a purpose.
Right. So.
No, I've been in the same thing after my car accident. Is like my body's like, I would do yoga and I was in a ridiculous amount of pain. I'm like, oh yeah, body does not want that. My body's starting to want it. But interesting is, again, Friday, I've been actually doing yoga again and feeling really like almost pretty good, which it's been 5 months. And whatever happened Friday, no, anything I do causes me pain. So interesting. And I've been trying to hit it from the astral and forgiveness and all this other shit. I mean, because I'm not sleeping, so I've been meditating and it's all right. It's going to work itself out.
Kava is sometimes a nice cheat.
True.
Nice plant cheat, right? Grounds you, aligns the chakras, is purifying, will help you sleep. It's a relaxant. Yeah.
Can be hard on my liver.
Yeah, I don't use it that much, but remember the first time I had it in Hawaii, actually, and I was with a Hawaiian teacher that was like, people just use it and so I was like, felt guilty trying it, but it's like, I want to try it, right? Yeah. And meanwhile, I was like doing the spiritual work that it was too much head in the clouds and felt like I couldn't think clearly because I drank it, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm like empowered again. Like I didn't realize I wasn't in contact with the earth, right? And it brought me right into my root chakra, and it was so important.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's so good. No, I feel like I want to go get some. Although I just took a walk before this call and this weird thing happened where I have these new kind of barefoot shoes and I'm walking on the ground and there's acorns everywhere here right now and like tree little branches and stuff everywhere. So I'm walking and I'm just feeling all that stuff. And I just started, just as like naturally, I wasn't trying to do this, but my body just went, mama. I was feeling mama earth, but mama. And then I was like, all of a sudden I became aware of the sky opened up. Like I walked through this part of the trees and there was this clearing and it's a blue sky in Portland today, which is very rare. No chemtrails, very rare, sunny blue skies, sun. And I was like, oh, like father, right? It's like, this is between the mama. And I was doing this thing, mama, da, 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 like a kid. But I was like in this rhythm of, it was very grounding because that's what we are. We're the go-between between heaven and earth, right? Here we are. And if we can ground the heart into Mama Earth, that's why when you were talking about kava, Lauren, I was like, ooh, maybe I'll go get some kava. But I was like, wait a minute, I just had like this beautiful experience. Maybe I don't even need it. But heaven and earth, right through the expression of our heart is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to be able to walk and feel the ground through my shoes. That's a new experience for me.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like you're kind of selling us all these shoes. They're good, huh? And they're just called barefoot shoes. Like, we should look them up.
Well, there's all different kinds.
Yeah, the ones that I got are Astral is the brand.
Whoa, well, no wonder why. They're inspiring, metaphysical experiences.
Astral.
They're adorable too.
Oh, Astral shoes. Yeah, they're it's a look. It takes a little getting used to. But I went to this store and I have just been wanting some more comfortable shoes, and I tried these on. They were literally, I put them on my feet and I was like, oh, everything changed. I don't know. They were the most comfortable shoes I've ever put on my feet, ever. And I was like, I've tried on other barefoot shoes before and had not had that experience at all. These, I guess you got to find the right ones.
Okay. And so is the sole rubber, or what is the sole out of?
Yeah, the sole is rubbery, but it has, so here's another interesting thing. The rubber sole, but then inside, talk about a hive. No, it's got like this almost like a hivey pattern in there. So the rubber, it's like a little massage also, but I can also feel, I get the feedback from the ground, but I also get this little massage in there. That's so good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, dude, when I went barefoot shoes, I never went back. I'm so in love with them. I wear the Vivo barefoot, are to me the best, and they're expensive and from Europe, but Zero's pretty good too. But there's another one that looks like those Astrals that you have that are, they're definitely some great ones, Lauren. You got to try them.
Wow, I guess.
Yeah, we have in Portland, there's a store that specializes in them. So you could go and like try on a bunch of different ones. So I'm ready to go back because these are kind of
Pricey.
summery, but I'm like ready. I'm gonna go for some winter shoes over there.
I think next year we have to do the roaming podcast, and we have to go because Lauren, next fall we should go up to Portland together. It's so fun in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think they look fallish because they're like a falling off the tree red leaf color.
Yeah.
Good one. Good one.
Yeah, they're not wintry boots that are built for a storm, right? But I think, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
True, right. Once it starts raining in Portland, though, guess what? It's gonna be raining for a long time.
It never stops. It never stops.
9 months. That's a limiting belief, but I have experienced
historically it rains for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're in hurricane season down here, and we're pretty lucky in the Gulf because we're a little more protected. But man, we get rains like almost every afternoon, not every one, but almost every afternoon or evening. You get it just out of nowhere, ready? Rain.
You hear about that hurricane down in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, but luckily it's only a category 1 right now, which is enough, but it's not a 5. A 5 can wipe people out.
Yeah.
But they got devastated a few years ago. So so Florida, let's just take a minute. Like, I'd love to hear from you guys a little bit about, I'll tell you, Florida in the fall is kind of amazing because I made it through summer. It's my first summer here. And summer was like hot and muggy. And now the heat is subsiding a little bit and the mugginess is popping. But also yesterday I was at the beach and it was like cool wind and the water was actually kind of cold for the first time in months. And I was like, wow, it's been bath water for months. Like, it hurts your face. It's so hot. And the feelings of fall are coming in here, and it's just interesting. And it's rainy, humid.
When you say the humidity is popping, what do you mean? It's like lessening?
So no, the heat dropped a little bit, like the intensity of summer heat dropped a little bit. So it's not actually so hot right now, but it's humid.
Oh.
So humid, it's more humid than it has been at all.
Ugh.
Yeah. But it's not as hot. I mean, it's, you know what? And I'm on the Gulf Coast, so it's like, I think we're kind of the Florida's chosen children weather-wise, to be honest. But it's dealable and kind of awesome. I mean, even summer was, there was like in August, I'd like to probably be somewhere else for a week or two, like San Diego. But it's dealable. just go swimming a lot,
Mhm.
So that's me. How's fall feeling for you ladies? I'd love to hear. Like, what's happening in your natural world? What do you see? What do you
I could say it's been interesting because I've been on this long walks project every day for 57 days. Today's day number 44. Lucky 44. But I have been on long walks every day. And so I feel like in August, I could feel things shifting. Like I just felt some leaves on the ground and stuff, even though it was hot out and still in the throes of summer. There's a little different quality in the air. The days are getting a little shorter. But now as soon as September 1st hit, it was almost like this whole other thing came. It was weird. I don't know. I've never noticed it in that way before. It's also partially maybe because I'm out walking 3-4 hours a day right now. But so to really feel the changing in the quality of the air, the trees, even though, a lot of leaves are on the ground. You don't get any right now yet of the like colors or anything like that, which we do get in Portland. Pretty nice. We get some nice fall feelings here. None of that, but it has been much cooler, although like today's going to be 85, but it's getting dark earlier and earlier, and the air is feeling, I don't know. Yeah, like a little cooler. So it's kind of nice that I'm out there in the elements every day, because this year I feel a little bit of morning coming with the fall. I'm not quite ready. I guess I don't have to be ready yet because it's not all the way here yet, but I had a thought like, yeah, because the winters can be so long in Portland in a different way than like upstate New York or something. But the winters can be just long, cold and damp and rainy and gray and on and on and on until June, very often July, early
Well,
July. So that's the morning. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well, luckily you got friends in warm places, but yeah, no, it's real. And that's actually the energy of fall from the 5-element perspective, is the energy starts descending, and grief, it's about death, it's death.
Yeah, I feel that.
I feel like there's a lot of exits happening now. I see a lot of people saying that
that's
they've
true.
lost a family member or a pet, or would just still a family member. But Patricia, listening to you talk and how it's awesome that you're doing these walks, because that's probably what our body is naturally meant to do. And I bet that that's part of what brought up whatever this repressed thing is that you're shedding now, because you're giving all that time to yourself by being out there in nature and walking, right? So, if we all just spent more time in nature, how much healthier and freer would we be?
True. Very true.
So
yeah, that's beautiful.
You guys know I'm in San Diego. So, it's getting darker a little bit sooner, but we were at the beach on Friday and I got a little sunburn and the water was the warmest it's been. And September is kind of the best time because school started. So everybody's back at school and the beaches have more room for us. And we're just kind of an extending summer with shorter days over here. So
love it.
The Pacific's usually pretty cold. And so it's like the warmest time of the year. Wave a couple days ago that finally broke. So it's nice that it broke because it feels, and then as we move into fall, it rains a little bit more, but it still stays 70 and kind of sunny. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I actually went out to the coast a couple days ago here just for the day. And when you said Pacific Ocean, I was like, oh yeah, I was just at the Pacific Ocean, but it's, also the coast at Oregon is nothing like California. But it's got its own beauty. Beautiful. And I realized, I don't know, just breathing different air is so good. It's like what people talk about, the ions or whatever, but you know what, just being by that ocean air is so healing.
It is. There was a time I must have been on a project or something, because I didn't really, or maybe it was, I don't know what I was doing, but I went out to the ocean. I was like, oh, like it's so bright. I didn't even realize how yucky my energy field had felt. until I had it as the contrast.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, those ions are so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Totally
Yeah,
agree.
like people who live in places that are very far away from the ocean, like I can't imagine that. I mean, I guess
Oh,
you have
yeah.
beautiful places to go, I'm sure lakes or, hikes or whatever, but there's something about the ocean that just the expanse of it and the air and the breeze and just that rhythm of watching the waves, watching pelicans or whatever. I don't know. It's so healing.
It
for me.
is.
I love it.
I was in Prescott, Arizona a couple weeks ago, and I didn't know that the thunderstorms bring in ions. So they were saying it's been like a bunch of great thunderstorms recently. And so, I guess that's part of how people survive in other places is they get the ions in different
I have
ways.
to tell you about something that happened in Portland. I don't know if this
one.
probably did not make national news or anything, but it was freaky. So last weekend, I think it was on Saturday, I was taking a nap. I almost never take a nap. I was taking a nap on my couch, and all of a sudden there was like this boom, and my house was shaking. It felt like my house was shaking, but I think it was just like the startle of the noise. It was a really, really loud boom, and it lasted a while. And then what it turned out to be, it was in all of our news the next day. This was one lightning strike that hit in southwest Portland. It shook the whole city. People
Wow.
heard it up in Vancouver, and people had their houses shake up in Vancouver. I mean, it just doesn't even make sense. They said it was one like really strong little cell or something. One lightning, it wasn't even raining. It was just weird.
It went all the way from Oregon through the state of Washington to Vancouver.
No, there's a Vancouver, Washington, which is right here across the river.
I was
So
like,
didn't go to Canada, but
It's
so no.
20 minutes from Portland still.
Yeah, it was, and Southwest Portland. So I talked to somebody who lives in Southwest. She said her house, like literally, like the windows were rattling and everything. It was like, so it was
makes
one of
you
those things, because
wonder.
I always go, that just does not make sense. Something weird happened.
Harp, harp.
Well, I think, harp.
Yeah, something weird. I mean, it was just like so odd. Just one lightning strike. The whole city is like shaking, boom, for like a minute.
That did
And
strike down some people that aren't coming from their heart. Who knows?
I think Portland's a test city. There are test cities.
Yeah.
Portland's the biggest one.
There are test cities. It's pretty wild.
we
And
do
lot
get a good share of like unusual things here. So, or
Yeah.
just energies.
Random. difference.
So
The yin and the yang and the this and the that. I don't know.
looked
Yeah.
at it from a good perspective, because I do think that there's a point where whatever bad they do, it's all just for good, right? Because even like our woundedness brings wisdom.
Yes,
right?
it's all gonna, right. It just fuels the light that is needed to really bring the healing to that darkness.
Right.
The light
So-
just gets brighter and brighter and brighter.
Yeah, so sticking
agree.
with the shaman thing, right? Some people thought like the only way to become a shaman was to either like die and come back or be struck by lightning. So I'm gonna just say that you guys were just all initiated. Welcome to shamanhood.
Nice.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. It's a good perspective.
That's
Very
probably part
exciting.
of what's bringing out this stuff too. You're like, oh yeah, that doesn't, I got to shed this layer off. It's not going to fit into my 5D. I can't,
Yep.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. It's very exciting.
Awesome. Well, should we wrap it up? You wanna let's meet next week and do it all again.
That sounds great.
Everybody.
Super great to connect and hear all your beautiful healing things and evolving things and beautiful hearts. Really sweet conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks,
care.
everybody.
You can talk to
Thrive, Hive, Healing Tribe.
you. Yeah.